Hello Fridlings, I'm Claude from Chicago. We are here for real people with real creativity in real time. Fredlings never give up, and I won't on you. And today we are going to build in our 1960s area, which is going to be 1960s to the 1980s, the late 80s. And it is going to incorporate a go-kart track, which is something that's sort of a classic vibe around this time. If you've seen the video before this, we talk about our movie theater, which is built right next to this, but this was actually built prior. And I decided to make a go-kart because go-karts are always fun. You can jump on there with your friends. You can do dual go-karts. In this game, there's only solo go-karts, but you can take your friends, drive around with them and stuff like that. And we are going for a more high-budget area here because obviously in the 60s to the late 80s, the budget has increased, and we are going for a haunted mansion vibe go-kart ride. So if you ever see the Haunted Mansion in Disney World or Disneyland, it has a wide variety of haunted aspects. Like there's, forced perspective. There is pumpkins, skeletons, scarecrows. There's ghosts. We don't usually use a lot of ghosts in this, but I do use the scarecrows and the pumpkins to add a little bit of detail. So the Haunted Mansion is going to have a few little levels here. We're using the haunted pieces from the Spooky DLC. The Spooky DLC has a lot of good pieces that have realistic floors and wallpapering, which we don't use the wallpapering in this alone, but we do use the spooky roofs and stuff like that. I spent a bunch of money on this, so I'm going to definitely use it here in this part. So the first thing that I do is I start off with some primitive shapes, like some squares and some rectangles, and then I go back in and do the detailing. The reason for this is the majority of everything that is built starts off with a square, a rectangle, a circle, a triangle, or anything like that. So just starting off your Planet Coaster builds in this sort of way will make your buildings sort of stand out from anything else you create. We skipped a little bit here in this time-lapse section. We are adding in some spooky doors and some spooky windows, adding a chimney on the side over here to give it a little bit of detail and breaking away. By the way, we are recording this time-lapse video live on Twitch, where people are seeing the behind-the-scenes of this, and some of the chats that are happening right now that relate to this video is Mr. Moshe himself is saying, this is above the budget, and we spent a lot of money on it. And I do agree, but this is later in the budget part, so maybe we'll come back and do some tearing apart of stuff. But this is something that I think I really needed to do to match this Disney World vibe of the fences. So I came in here and I found a red brick fence that is rough. I grabbed a spooky fence with the ironclad sort of bars, and I added in a piece of plaster or concrete there as a railing. It looks exactly like the Disney World one, and it fits in perfectly. So we had to do a little bit of glitching, putting down the sections, breaking them in and out, so that would match perfectly. And then we had to add in a fast pass priority line. I'm a big fan of these. I don't care. People would have to pay extra money for these in our parks, just like how Disney World does it today. We do not have Disney World money, but we are going to try our hardest to make sure that it looks like we have Disney World money on this ride. People do enjoy this go-kart ride. Once I added in the scenery into the game, it sort of picked up that people wanted to get on this ride. Cue scenery in Planet Coaster is one of the biggest things you have to remember while doing your ride. And the reason for that is, it's just the cue scenery is why people want to come on. You can make the coolest ride in the world, but if there's not enough cue scenery, people do not care. We do not care is what I expect them to be saying exactly. Because, picture if you went to Disney World and you didn't see the skeletons from the Haunted Mansion or the Pirates of the Caribbean ride while waiting in that long-ass line. It'd be probably pretty boring. The ride itself doesn't get you in that experience, but making an immersive experience on the outside for people while they are waiting would make it so much more exciting for people to sort of see what's going on or what to get hyped for, even though the ride itself is actually pretty bare bones. Some of the scenery we do on the outside is we add in a lot of trees. We are adding in savanna trees. We are adding in Southern American trees, swamp trees, any sort of trees that look like they would match this haunted area. So I want to keep that spooky vibe, so just adding those out in the front, like the willow trees, really makes it pop. And then we come back around here and we add in some classic oaks, some ironwoods, which are our cherry blossoms in this game, and add in some autumn trees, big oaks, ash trees, timbers, and all that to give it some color to pop it off. Because remember, even though this is a more higher budget attraction, we still have to keep and incorporate these details in our park. Speaking of adding in the little details, lighting is one of the biggest things passed up by a lot of content creators and Planet Coaster people. They build their parks during at 12 noon or 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. and they just love it how it is. And that's true. But I think you need to come through here because at nighttime, what I always do is I always check to see if people's parks have lights. So we come through here and add in some very cheap street lamps here and go, I don't remember there was a certain distance that I did on these, but there must have been. So I just added those street lamps on there, jump on the Go-Kart Ride real quick, and then come back around to see how it is looking. On the inside here, we use some of these big floodlights to add in a overhang, and then we come back to the mansion here, and we want to make the mansion pop up and pop off with some lights at nighttime. So we're going to go with the mansion being majority purple, going to find a purple that matches, and it lights up the mansion just enough so it doesn't look like just a huge figure out there, sort of like a silhouette. So I just want to get that going and do some more stuff. Come on to the inside of the interior queue, go with some candles here. Meep has created a sign a long time ago in our history park with a Q sign there, and Simon made the sign for the ride, and it gives us that details, which I'm always appreciative of. If you want to make any sort of graphic for the park, please let us know. Join our Discord, let us know. We can make it happen. And then we come down here through our queue path, and this has a different section of lights so that you can see the clear transition from when the park was originally created with the first original lights and then changing into these new bulbs, which we use these new bulbs over here in our waiting path. We come over here, make a little spooky light that flashes on this scarecrow to make people get a little scared. We'll see that a little bit later in the live section, coming on in with some pumpkins. Well, we're going to let the music play on out, Fredlings. I'll see you in just a second with the live recap. Hello, Fredlings. I hope you enjoyed that time lapse. And here in Lucky Lakes, as you've seen us talking about it, we have the wonderful Go-Kart Ride finally completed here, which is a Haunted Mansion replica. I know this is a budget park, but this is the only big budget. Obviously, in the late 60s, 70s area, we got a little bit more money. Not too much more money, but enough money to build a nice, beautiful castle for go-kart rides. But that might have been in part with the Red Star Electronics, which is the new rebranding of the ride. And then Meep has this wonderful sign he made us a long time ago, which is the queue point for an hour. It's probably way longer than an hour to get on this ride. But when you come on inside the queue, you can see the fast pass lane over here, so you can get right on inside and get right on the go-karts. If not, you have to go through the outside queuing, which is pretty nice. We have a nice little flashing scarecrow over here. We also have, a really quick, cheap graveyard. Throw in some pumpkins during the holiday season when they are ripe. And then you sort of come around. This is obviously, if you realize, this is somewhat like the Magic Kingdom's Haunted Mansion ride, because we spent so much time, as you see on the time lapse, we have all these little pieces together just to make this fence happen, and it looks wonderful. When you get on the inside of the queue, sort of looking like the Haunted Mansion ride here with the candles, and we could have brought these walls up a little bit more, but for the most part, you're not going to see that. And then we have the this clock tower here, the grand clock, the grandfather clock, which is right in the middle so people can see the time, maybe counting down until the next time for the next race. And it also goes off, apparently. I thought I turned that off. Maybe I didn't turn it off. No, I did turn it off. Okay. But yeah, it would go off when you're ready to go for your next ride. And then in here, we have our beautiful go-kart tracks, which will go up and over, down and under, through a cave, which we do need to dull these lights out. So I guess I'll do this right now while we are doing our little, our recap video here. But it's always nice to see that we are always pushing ourselves to the next level for details inside of our park. And Lucky Lakes Park is looking so fantastic. So I really appreciate everyone that watches these YouTube videos back. It really helps the channel. If you ever wanted to see something, come out to the live streams. Tell us what to do. And if you can't come to the live streams, of course, come on out in the comment section and just tell us what you want to see next. It comes around over here and has a nice little turn that kind of goes up and down and over, goes back through the tunnel, and we have these little security lights here so that you can see the chicane. And then you come right around and wrap up the ride right behind the little Baroness, which has a very beautiful view with their with the beautiful pink and purple. So, Fredlings, we're going to throw this into some glamour shots, but before we go there, I want to give a massive shout out to our Twitch subscribers, tip donators, bit donators, and our future merchandise holders for making these videos even possible. We're going to end it off here, Fredlings, with some glamour shots. And if you want to see more Planet Coaster videos like these, hit that like button, subscribe, and come out to the Twitch streams at Claude from Chicago. So now we're going to go onto the go-kart ride, and I'll let it play it out there. And remember, a real Fredling makes their own luck.